Hi everyone, welcome. This is Little Wave from Your Stars Within. I want to talk about the April 2023 astrology, including the Mercury Retrograde that's coming. Let's dive right in. Let's start with the fact that there is going to be a full moon on April the 6th at 16 degrees Libra. So if you have anything around the 16 degree mark of the cardinal signs, Libra oppositing to Aries, squaring to Cancer and Capricorn, right? So any of those signs around 16 degrees, you're going to really feel this full moon. And this full moon in particular opposites Jupiter and Chiron, who have been hanging out in the 15, 16 degree of Aries. And so it's going to really bring some healing to, a culmination. Chiron has been on and off of this degree for a while. He's coming to an end of these degrees. So the areas, if you've been in the 14, 15, 16 degree, especially of cardinal signs, you've been really experiencing this chironic healing over the last year. There's probably been some moments where you've had to look at some things that you don't like about yourself or see some truths and do some work. And so this is kind of bringing culmination. If it's something that you haven't been dealing with, or maybe even 16, 17, 18 degrees of cardinal signs you might be just starting to become aware of, the Jupiter might expand, right? Remember, Jupiter's blessings and he brings gifts, but he brings it through expansion, right? We have to see it. And so if it's something we've seen and been working on the last year, this may really be a healing and a beautiful culmination. And if it's something we're just coming into or something we've kind of refused to look at, it may become so big that we can no longer deny it. But regardless with this full moon, there's definitely a healing component to it, healing of old wounds. Remember, Chiron is the wounded healer. So wherever we're feeling wounded, if it's just starting to come up with this, if we're, maybe moving to the, 17, 18 degree, then, remember that where we ourselves have been wounded is where we have the most ability to eventually help and offer healing to others. And so that's what a lot of this process is about. Okay, I want to talk also about, Uranus is moving back to the 18 degrees. So he went as far as 18 in the summer of 22. Okay, so last summer, July through October, it was pretty long. So he went 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and then paused on 18, retrograded on 18. So he stayed on 18 a long time from July through October. 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, right? Then goes forward again. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Now he's not going to come back to this point. When he goes forward, he's going to go as far as the 23, I believe. But he retros only to the 19. So this is sort of a culmination point. So last summer, July through October, Uranus, especially in July, conjuncted Mars and the North Node. So whatever was going on around that time for you, because that happened in the sky, right? So that happened somewhere in your chart. Now, if you have planets or points that are around the 18 of the fixed signs, Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, Aquarius, okay? If you have signs or points there, this is going to be even more poignant for you, okay? Significantly poignant for you. But so think back to like what was going on in sort of July, August timeframe of 22, because Mars and North Node was there. So there was kind of this energy signature that was like, you're going to do something very unexpected in this area, and that you're going to be very motivated. It's going to move. Something's going to change. Something action-wise is really going to change here. Because we've got Mars and we've got the North Node, which is pointing to the direction we need to go in life. So the Uranian energy is going to bring the surprise, right? But sometimes I've found with Uranian energy, it doesn't surprise me. I've been thinking it or I've been planning it for a while, but maybe when I do it, it surprises the people around me. So you're going to take some surprising action at some point. Maybe you did take surprising action, especially if that was on a planet or point for you. That was probably the beginning point of something. So the Uranian energy, is going to really bring unusual. We take unusual actions, things that are maybe a little bit out of character, but are needed. It's like a necessary leap out of our norm so that we can bring in new energy and experience something different. This is what our spirit needs to grow to the next level. So think back to like what was going on then, because I think that as Uranus moves back to that degree at the 18, this is going to be a culmination point for whatever started then. So it'll be back at that point, April 24th through May 10. And obviously just like allow your natural self, action to come through you. Let you don't go, oh, gee, what am I supposed to change? You'll know what you need to change. Uranian energy is like undeniable. You feel like, oh my gosh, I need this freedom, or I just can't stand it. I have to do it. So let it come to you. But just to understand what you're feeling and to understand what's going on and to maybe have that faith to take that leap, is that it's reminiscent, it's connected to what was going on in summer of 22. Okay. Let's talk about the Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrograde. As we know, Mercury retrogrades 3 times a year. And there's a shadow period. So, it goes through the degrees, in this case, 5, 6, 7, 14, 15, okay? Then it goes backwards, and this is where we say it's retrograde. So we didn't say it was retrograde originally. Then we go 15, 14, 13, 5. Okay, now we say retrograde's over. It's not over. We still got to come back through these signs. The shadow period's the first time before we retrograde, but we're going through those degrees that we're going to retrograde. Then we retrograde, we call that retrograde, and then we say it's done. But we actually have to come back through those degrees as the second shadow period. So the shadow period begins April 7th at 5 degrees Taurus. We officially retrograde on April 21st at 15 degrees Taurus. We retrograde back to the 5-degree mark where we're going to go forward again on May 15. And we're officially out of the shadow period on June 2nd. I feel like, did I say that right? There's a lot of 5s and 15 in there. Okay, so April 7th, shadow period. We get up to the 15-degree mark. April 21st, we retro. 15, 14, 13, we go all the way back to 5. May 15th, from 5 degrees, we go forward. We come back through, we get to 15, and we move on to 16 as of June 2nd, and we're done with the process. I hope that's clearer. Okay, so any planets or points that you have in the 5 to 15 degrees of the fixed signs, because this is all happening in Taurus. So Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, or Aquarius. Between 5 and 15 degrees, any of your planets or points in the fixed signs, this Mercury retrograde will be very strong for you. Now, everyone's going to feel it. This is happening somewhere in your chart. So it's happening in a house. If you don't have planets and points, I would look to the house that this is happening in to give you an idea about what's going on. But if you have any planets or points at the 5 to 15 degrees of the fixed signs, you're going to really feel this Mercury retrograde. It's a little more personal. There's a personal growth in it for you, right? Your spirit and everything's like gears, where you were born in the gear cycle, your spirit has a growth for you with this one then. Okay. So that's something to think about. Remember that when Mercury goes retrograde, it's an internalization of the energy. So the forward motion, we need to take a break. We spent almost, if we include the shadow periods, about 50% of the year in some form of retrograde. And so this system needs to rest. So art, finishing projects that we started already, that would be the right, music, any kind of energy that's more of a right-brained activity, or things that we've already begun that we want to come back to. We might find ourselves with all the redoing, reviewing, right? We might have to go back and redo things. As in alt retrogrades, especially Mercury, backing up your technology and things like that's always a good idea at these times. And to just bring some patience to the table that, a lot of times things are moving in a slower, kind of less directive energy. And so it's a more internal energy. So everybody in the world's functioning a little bit differently. And so there tends to be little hiccups or car accidents or whatever, and just learning to, bring patience and understand that. The time that you can spend more internally is really good, because this is what the energy supports. It's really supporting the internal processing and the calming of the nervous system. Not, in our society, we tend to only go, go, go and direct and forward energy all the time, but that's really not the wisdom of life. There's a time for all things. There's a time to move forward, and there's a time to rest and be inward. And this is one of those times. Couple other things to note. In May, I'll just mention Neptune will be getting to the 27 degree of Pisces. This is as far as it's going to go before it retrogrades. It doesn't actually retro, I think, until August, and it doesn't come out of retro till December or something. We don't have to worry about it right now, but just to know, as we come into May, this is as far as Neptune's going to go. It's in Pisces, so anything in the 24, 25, 26, 27 degrees of the mutable signs, so Pisces, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Gemini, in those later degrees will be impacted. Neptune's a very slow moving planet, so it's going to have a longer type of effect. It's not so immediate, but that's just something to think about. All right, I think that's everything I wanted to talk about. April 6th, we have the full moon at 16 Libra, and April 20th, the new moon at 29 degree Aries. I talked about that new moon quite a bit in the Pluto in Aquarius video, so you can reference that for more information. And if you have any questions or think that a personal reading would be helpful to you, please feel free to reach out. As always, leave your comments and questions, and I'll do my best to get back to them. Thanks. Bye.